But my mom instilled in us, if you don't have a 4-year college degree, you're not going to be able to put food on your table. And it was almost like back at that time, the vocational schools were, it was for those kids that couldn't cut it with a 4-year degree. Mm-hmm. And here I am 18 plus years later in HVAC distribution, and my trajectory took me from healthcare to HVAC. And it's just the irony of that statement. And we talk about education and the trades, and we're essentially an essential business, right? And so it's just so funny how things come full circle sometimes.
There's another option out there for kids that, are like us or, different. And it's not a bad option. It's a good option.
There's no other industry that I feel is like the HVAC industry. I've met colleagues that have become best friends and mentors, and it's just a very inclusive community, and everybody wants to help everybody.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable Trades podcast. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you like this video. And if you're listening to this on the audio over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other platform, please leave a review. That's all free, and it helps support the show and helps it get out to more people. And of course, I'm your host, Adrian Garcia. I am an HVAC technician, licensed contractor here in Texas, and I've been doing this about 18 years. And we just have a lot of good conversations with good people in different trades now, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, electrical. I've had some others in like auto mechanics, anything like that. You bring them on, have a good conversation, and hopefully get more trade awareness out there. So I appreciate everybody who's watched or listened, all the support and making this podcast successful and what it is now. I also want to thank the sponsors of the show, like Jobber, which is a CRM that we use to run our business, which is invoicing, quoting, scheduling jobs, maintenance contracts. It makes it so easy, and all our technicians on our team usually pick it up relatively quickly. I just have to show them what it is, and they are able to get out there and start, invoicing everything that needs to be done. I can also update prices, client list, everything remotely, and they have it there on their phone, tablet, or laptop. It's been great running our business with Jobber now, and if you guys want a free trial and discount, make sure to check the link down below, getjobber.com/reliable HVACR. I also want to thank Vito Pro Pack, the best quality bags that money can buy, literally. Spring promotion is the best time of year by far. So check out Vito Pro Pack at your supply house or go to vitopropack.com to learn more. And the podcast is also brought to you by Local. Local HQ is a marketing that is geared towards the trades, and they can help you with your HVAC digital marketing so that you can dominate your local service areas with proven strategies that get your business more leads. They can help you rank higher on Google and all that you would need for your business. So reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable and mention me or the Reliable Trades podcast and get 2 months of SEO for free. Kristin, thank you for making the time to do the episode today. And how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're obviously part of Women in HVACR. So I'm excited to kind of dive into that and go further. But can you introduce yourself, actually who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Kristin Gallup. I'm the Director of Parts and Supplies for Carrier Enterprise North America, as well as the President of Women in HVACR.
So you parts manager, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Director of Parts and Supplies. So I'm on the distribution side. So I handle all of the parts and supplies for all of our equipment lines.
I just started dealing with our local carrier. I used to work on nothing but train. It was weird. Nothing but train. And then like all of a sudden everything is carrier here.
Yeah.
So I've gotten very used to them. I actually do enjoy working on them. I do commercial work, so it's all RTU stuff. And I was like, okay, let me go down to the local carrier enterprise and see what we can do. And they've been great. getting parts and all that. Just
That is
you know,
music to my ears.
yeah. There was a guy there that I don't know if he's new or he just got there because before, they had like one guy at the counter, and you had to wait, and then I guess they finally got more people, and super nice guy. So I'm like, okay, I'm like I said, I just started going there, so I always have this thing
Yeah.
is like when I go to a new supply house, like how do they treat me, how good are they at customer service, all that kind of stuff, and good experience so far.
Amazing.
It's always difficult. So I don't know, like when I go to certain supply houses, if there's counter people or people that are looking for parts for you, because like I don't know everything. I try to go with all the part numbers, with all the model
Mhm.
numbers, serial numbers, because I just need the part. If the guy that doesn't understand what I'm talking about, it's just frustration, because I'm trying to get back to work. So I always appreciate a good supply house with a good parts people, basically.
Yeah, we really focus about the customer experience and making sure that there's a cross reference so that if you come in for any brand and you need a
Mm.
part and supply, that we're able to serve you.
What are you like to a certain region somewhere?
So I'm a headquarters employee.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
based out of New Hampshire, so I work remote.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's good to
Yeah.
know. So, Women in HVACR, that group has been around for a little bit now, or how long has it been around?
22 years.
Okay,
Nonprofit
way
organization for
longer than I
22
thought,
years.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Ruth King
awesome.
started it back in 2002.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's another thing. I've been doing this since 2007 ish. And
Uh-huh.
it's so weird to say, oh, I've done this 20 years now or about to be. And equipment is, stuff that I saw coming in that's brand new is now old. So that's kind of the weird part of the trade and where we're going. But that's a whole other story.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us what Women in HVACR is and maybe like what you do there?
Yes. So I am the president of Women in HVACR, and we are a 22-year nonprofit organization that is focused on mentorship and education and networking. And so, really, the premise of the organization when Ruth King started it was to educate more women about the opportunities in the trades, and really to find more female technicians. And so, we've got several pillars of our organization. The first one is our membership, how we serve our members. We hold masterminds, we have book club, we have just educational seminars. On the sponsorship side, that's the infrastructure of a whole organization. And so right now we have a little under 79 sponsors, and they really facilitate and give us the ability to execute our day-to-day operations. Um, We've got our scholarships. We're projected to give over $30,000 in scholarships this year. I think when Ruth started back in 2002, she had a $1,000 sponsor or scholarship, and now we're giving over 30,000. So it's creating that awareness. And then the next pillar is our ambassador program. So our goal as the organization is to have an ambassador in every single state. Obviously, states like Texas and Florida, where it's a larger demographic, we're looking for more. But essentially, we curate the content and we distribute that to our ambassadors so that they could go out into the trade schools and the elementary schools and the job fairs and talk about our industry and how to get more women and men into the industry. And then our last pillar, which is probably most near and dear to my heart, is our mentorship program. It's a year-long program. We have over 50 some odd matches, and it's really women and men coming together to help elevate people in our industry. And so that program is near and dear to my heart.
Well, that's awesome. Now, as somebody that actually went to, I wouldn't say a trade school, but like a community college that offered
Mhm.
HVAC, that's always a big help. So being able to fund that, if you guys offer scholarships, I think is
Yeah.
huge because that's where I learned a lot of like the terms and how to do basic things out in the field, and they teach you all the technical stuff. So that's always a big help. And obviously, like you said, you help with scholarships to uh, help women basically get a jump start, because that's what it was to me. It was a jump start because I had no prior experience with any power tools, any tools of any kind. I was, doing something completely different, and I got into the trade, and that helped me a lot. It's not necessary, but it's always a good thing to get. And if it's, if there's help through through an organization like yours, that's always awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I think about my childhood, my brother and I were polar opposites.
Uh-huh.
He could go to school, take a test, read information, take a test, and ace it. Me, I had to do, cards and memorization and all these things. And I say this to say that my mom instilled in us, if you don't have a 4-year college degree, you're not going to be able to put food on your table. And it was almost like back at that time, the vocational schools were, it was for those kids that couldn't cut it with a 4-year
Mm-hmm.
degree. And here I am, 18 plus years later in HVAC distribution, and my trajectory took me from healthcare to HVAC. And it's just the irony of that statement. And we talk about education and the trades, and we're essentially an essential business, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just so funny how things come full circle sometimes.
And I mean, the whole essential thing actually, came from the whole pandemic that
Oh,
we went
yeah.
through. So we really found out then, and you're still seeing it now when
Mhm.
people are panicking for, job cuts or any cuts of any sort. And every HVAC electrician, plumber out there is like, we're not affected. We're still having work. We're still,
Yeah.
and obviously, honestly, if you don't get what you want at one company, you can find another company and just, get something better, because if you learn a skill that can't be taken away from you. And that's exactly what I would love to hear more about. Like you said, your ambassador program is really awesome. If you can go out to elementaries and all these other schools, high schools, whatever. I've seen that from some younger technicians doing that now. They're like, oh, we're going to go, just talk to them, job fairs, whatever it is. Because like when I think it still happens, when I went to school, it was like, be a police officer, be a nurse, be a
Lawyer.
doctor, lawyer. That's the only way you're going to make a lot of
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
which there's nothing against that. If you want to do that, that's fine. But like you said, I did pretty well in school, but I didn't like doing that. I didn't want to be testing, getting a master's and having to deal with all that. There's another option out there for kids that, are like us or, different. And it's not a bad option. It's a good option.
It's a great option. And when I think about, the whole reason why I wanted to go into physical therapy and nursing, and it was to serve other people. And what you don't
Oh,
realize that in the trades, you're still serving
yeah.
people. It's it's just a different vertical. And
So
so I
you went
think,
to school for therapy?
yeah, physical therapy and healthcare administration. And when I graduated in the 90s, it was so saturated I couldn't find a job. And
Hmm.
so I spent probably the next 12 years searching for a career path. It was like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And
See
so I,
that's what people
I
don't
ended,
understand, is like those that they always tell you to go for, like I said, like anything with the hospital, nursing, doctor, whatever. It can be saturated for like the common positions,
yes,
right? Like you said, you couldn't find a job. I hear that all the time. Everybody that I knew got a business degree, which is not bad either if you want to open your own business later, but like everybody got that business degree. That was like the default thing to fall on. And then like they graduate and they're like, what do I do now? I don't know.
yeah, and it was very saturated. And at that time, now you need a PhD and a master's, but back
Mm,
then you didn't. And so I spent the next 10 years at an insurance agency, and I worked my way up from secretary to office manager. And then, at 10 years, I was like, there's got to be more. So I walked into the CEO's office and said, what else can I do? And he's like, unless you're going to get a 220 license and sell insurance. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to sit in a chair and sell insurance. And so then I went back to the drawing board. It's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And so then I landed as director of escalations for a flooring installation company. And they did all the flooring installations for Home Depot. And it was the most negative, deflating job I had ever been in, because all you were dealing with was all of these problems. And so I said, there's got to be more. I was burnt out and I was super stressed out. And so in 2007, the man upstairs afforded me with 2 job opportunities. And one was with Train Technologies and one was with Gem Air Distributors, who's one of the Watsco companies. And it's funny how the choice that you make creates your trajectory. And so in 2007, I started at Gem Air Distributors, and I was there for about 2 years. And then Watsco bought out Carrier Sales and Distribution and formed Carrier Enterprise. And so I was instrumental in getting that up and running. And I say this to say that when you think about the trades, we always think about what we don't have. So I was in this role at Carrier Enterprise. I was supporting the whole leadership team. And the CEO was retiring. And this is probably one of my biggest life lessons as I came into HVAC was the president of the company said, listen, Steve Combs is retiring. If there's one job that you could do in this organization, what would it be? And I thought about it and I was like, I want to do marketing. And then the back of my head, I was like, I don't have a marketing degree. And I listed a whole litany of things of why I couldn't do the job, right? And so the hiring manager, Kay Basham, who is one of my mentors, said, Kristin, I can teach you all of the marketing. Marketing is about having relationships. It's about being resourceful. It's about leveraging other people's knowledge, and so that you can learn the business. She's like, I can teach you everything else. She's like, but I can't teach you relationships. And she's like, that's one of your core values is relationship based. It is relationship based, right? So she's like, you will always be successful in marketing. And so from there, that's how I started my marketing career in the HVAC distribution channel.
Yeah, so you got that opportunity and ran with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome because, and I mean, that's the other thing with the whole trades in general. Like, you don't have to be turning wrenches or doing the actual physical labor.
Field.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can start there if you want, but you can honestly go into so many different avenues. And I feel like, because people ask me all the time, like, is it a good thing to go after, like a trade to get into and this and that, and is it too saturated? I'm like, there's a lot of people out there, but there's a lot of work out there too. So you're always,
Absolutely.
I've never not had work. It's slowed down a little bit here and there, but like I've never not had work. And if you really want to, you can go into different types of positions where you're behind a desk or running a business of some sort. Like, there's different avenues to go. Marketing is a big deal right now too. Everybody's all about marketing, social media, anything local. Like, there's a lot of that going on right now too, which I had to learn myself because it's my dad's business, but he doesn't want to deal with any of that. Right. He's like,
Yeah.
do my logo, do my, what do you call it? My business cards, my brochures. We did all of that kind of stuff. And I was the one that handled that. So I learned how to, market and do different things like that. So that's always fun too. I mean, seeing something different every day. I also want to thank Diversitech. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com. And it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. I've gotten a lot of compliments on these line set penetration covers. They're basically, when you get an install done, you have the line set coming out the house or whatever a wall you came out of, you normally have to put like foam spray or, cover it up somehow. Eric's has these covers that just look professional, and I like the form factor. I've seen others and they're a little bit too bulky. This one, it just gives you what you need. They have two different models. If you need a slimmer one, they have that too. And what I really like is they finally have now one for existing line sets. Now it's two pieces, and you kind of just put them together over the line set and then mount it and drill it in. And it's a good selling point to make an existing install look better. I've gotten so many compliments, like I said. So make sure you go over to ericsmfg.com and check them out.
Absolutely. And I think when you look at this industry, the biggest lesson that I took from that is find your tribe and find your mentors, because at the end of the day, Kay saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, because I was just checking boxes of, well, I don't have a marketing degree and I don't have this, I don't have that. And I challenge people to get a mentor. If they're, in life in general, you should have a mentor, but as you're coming into the trades, find your tribe of people that are going to help you navigate the HVAC channel.
Yeah. And you guys are offering mentorship within the Women of HVACR as well. So when
Yes.
I started, mentors were hard to come by. And at that time, because this was almost 20 years ago, everybody was competition. Like, nobody wanted to help the next guy. Nobody wanted to give any secrets out. So when I
Share
found,
info.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I found a couple of guys that actually were like, no, this kid's pretty good. Let me help him out. So I had like two that I could count on. I kept in touch with them because, my God, like, uh, they got me out of so many binds where I'm trying to figure this stuff out, in the field, because I worked for my dad. So he needed me like out there already. And I was like, I just got out of school. I don't know what I'm doing. But mentors is a important deal. So you guys, like you said, that's one of the pillars, is the mentorship. So that's really awesome, just to pay it forward. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what a lot of I feel like a lot of it is for the better right now, but it's still very important.
Absolutely. I would not be where I am today if it weren't for the mentors along the way. And I think that it's important to have a clear distinction of mentorship. I think there's a personal side and there's a professional side, and nobody ever really wants to address the personal side, because without the personal side, you can't get to the professional side.
I would add that, because I try to like be realistic about it. Like, obviously it's not all positive, right? Like, that's like when you said personal, I start thinking about like the mental side of it, the burnouts. You mentioned burnouts at your other job and stuff like that. Like, that stuff happens. You also need to be able to talk to somebody about that. Like, how do I handle getting burnt out? How do I handle, the job, the physicality? How do I handle the mental? So that is also a part of mentorship, right? Telling, because like when I messed up so much when I started, like left and right, like,
Mhm.
you know, uh, I felt bad, and I had somebody like, don't worry, like, it can always be fixed, and it can always be this or that, or just take a breather, take 15 minutes, take a break. This, like, the mental side is also the difficult part of anything in life, but like in the trades, you're at least with what I do, being a technician out there, physically demanding and mentally demanding. So just be prepared for that too.
Yeah. So when I refer to the personal side, we are all shaped by our experiences, by our childhood, how we saw our parents, our teachers, our caregivers, how they navigated conflict, how they communicated to each other. If you were raised, were you encouraged or were you criticized? Were you supported or were you neglected? And all of those um, experiences create this imprint. And then, if for some of us it's trauma, and it could be small trauma, it could be significant trauma, but it leaves imprints, right? And it shows you, or it shapes you in how you see the world, how you interpret what people say to you. It affects your confidence. It affects just the lens in which you see the world. And so when you start with mentorship and you look inward and say, okay, why is this triggering me? Or why do I have this perception? Or how do I listen to other people's opinions? That's really what shapes us personally, to be able to then go into a professional setting and say, oh, I need to work on this, or the way I'm communicating is not effective. But the great thing about all of that is it literally shapes, your professional growth, that you're acknowledging your personal journey. And all of our stories matter. And I always tell everybody has their own superpower, right? And so we're all different. We all come to the table with a different superpower. And that's really, when you focus on that, that is really how you grow the professional side in your professional life.
That is a great way to put it, because I agree with everything that you said. I just like you mentioned, like when I got into the trades and I had different hats. I mean, we ran our own business, so I had to learn the relationship part, the people skills,
Yeah.
all of that from growing up a certain way. I was not ready for, being put out there in front of people. So I had to be self aware of how I was raised, how I grew up, how I was in so many different ways beforehand, and kind of self evaluate, fix a few things, and then get back
Yeah.
out there and be more professional. See how I can be better, just all around as a person, because they go hand in hand. It bleeds over into being a technician or whatever position you have. It bleeds over how you conduct yourself and your professionalism, and all that stems from, like you said, how you were raised, grew up, trauma, anything like that. It does bleed over.
But I also think when you work on the personal side and all of those experiences, you come from a place of vulnerability and authenticity. And I think people can feel your energy. So that's how you build the trust, is when you can say, because I think people look at us in the industry and be like, oh, I want to be like so and so. Like they have the coolest job, but like nobody knows our individual journeys and what it took to get here, because it was not a straightforward path, right? So
And that's been my biggest thing, and that's kind of why I do the podcast. Is I want to ask people, because you never know what I learn about so much just doing this and sitting down and talking to people. Some people that had records, or they've been arrested in prison, and they're business owners, and I never would have guessed that. And they had this whole, all these obstacles to get through. I've talked to a lot of women, and it's always, it's different for with each one. Like that, some have a good experience the whole way through, awesome. Some have to go through quite a bit of what I would consider traumatic, a lot of trauma with the way they're treated in the workspace, or just getting to where they're successful finally. And
right.
there's a lot that goes into it. You don't know anybody's story until you either ask or they open up to you.
Absolutely.
I also want to thank our new sponsors, CallRail. So I've been more into marketing and just online presence with our business. Even though we only do commercial, word of mouth is really good for any business. But once you get to a place where you want to be, a big name online, or just anywhere, be recognizable, like I said, online presence, have a nice website, be able to be searchable in Google and all these different search engines, and just have a big presence. You need to know where to spend your money. And all I'm going to say is that CallRail can help you track that if that's something that you're interested in. CallRail can tell you, hey, these are not working so much. These are working really good. Stop spending your money here. Put more money and effort into this. and just be smarter about what you spend. So make sure you go by callrail.com. They do have a no risk free trial and you can check it out for yourself. I also want to thank another new sponsor, Residio. Basically, they help with a sustainable home and they make it a safer, cleaner, and smarter home. They have so many things that work together. They were showing me the new thermostats that they have going on, how it's implemented together, and all these different little, smart devices that connect and talk to each other. So if you want to learn more, head over to residio.com and check it out for yourself. How has it been with the women in HVACR? Like, how many members are a part of this? You guys offer like a member type of deal, right?
We do. So membership is $199 a year. Those people that sponsor, depending on their sponsorship level, some of them come with free memberships. But membership, we have about 1,200 members right now, and it's grown exponentially. And we are in growth mode. And really, it's about networking. One of our biggest events is coming up in October. We're having our national conference at the Red Rock in Las Vegas, and the theme is Bet on Yourself. And so we're curating 2 days full of content, breakouts, just to help you both professionally and personally. And I'm super excited about it. But that's one of the other benefits of our membership program is you get discounted conference. And it's just a place where women can collaborate and network. And the thing is a lot of times it's 6 degrees of separation. And if I meet you at conference and you say, hey, I need your help on this, if I can't help you, I know hundreds of other people that can. So just from a networking perspective, like I said, mentorship is a huge part of it. But I think it's that peer-to-peer relationship too. So when I think of mentorship and I think of our organization and I think of our membership, it's really, some of it is just peer-to-peer. It's meeting new people, it's making new connections, and having the ability to have somebody else support you or know somebody that can support you. And I will tell you, there's no other industry that I feel is like the HVAC industry. I've met colleagues that have become best friends and mentors, and it's just a very inclusive community, and everybody wants to help everybody.
Yeah. So you guys have your own events where you just get together and
We do. We have a
okay.
big national event once a year. That's our national
okay.
conference. We're expecting over 600 attendees this year. Last year we had around 525. But
Wow.
we also do regional events, and we also try to support the trades and organizations like Hardy and ACA and HVAC Excellence. And so we will do conferences in Trade World. They'll get a table at our conference. We'll get a table at theirs. We share content. We provide speaking opportunities and vice versa. So it's really nice how we all get together and are there for the same common goal, and it's education, networking, and mentorship.
That's awesome. I'm still learning, and that's where I've seen you all's like group and logos like at these big events, right? Like I've seen you guys around. I've known of you, just didn't know exactly what you guys did. I mean, I never asked, but I've seen you guys around, and that's really cool. That's a really great opportunity as a member of women in the trades to get together with like-minded individuals, because I've started to experience that myself once I found this community. Like you said, it's a great community in general, just all around, right? All the women, all the men, because I go to the AHR expos, I go to the HVAC tactical award shows. I've been to these things in person to where it is totally different. Because locally, I mean, I know some people that are great here, but like everybody, it's competition. Everybody wants to outdo each other, this and that. So when you get online and you actually have people that, like I said, are like-minded, they want to help each other out, and you can just relate to them, right? Whether it's on a personal level, on a professional level, there's all sorts of people. That has been the best thing that I've come across in the past few years, is just meeting people online and then getting to see them in person. It is, and you can tell when when these events happen, and I'm sure you see it too at yours, like everybody gets extra motivated, everybody gets
Yes.
passionate, right? It just helps everybody all around, and it makes for better, just you as a better mood, better. Like I said, you're more motivated to get back to work, and it helps a lot, I think.
And that's what's so amazing about Women in HVAC organization is Ruth King had this vision back in 2002 when nobody really cared about the trades, right? And
No.
so here we are in 2025, and it's like it's on steroids, and it's like the number one question we get asked at any event is contractors want to know, how do we hire more female technicians? They have attention to detail, they're reliable, they're great at building relationships, like this whole host of reasons why they want more women. And so we're literally trying to create that space to get more women into the trades. And ultimately, I'd like to see the organization come to a point where we could start working at identifying women, bringing them into the trades, helping them with the scholarships, and then helping place them with contractors. Like that
Oh
would
yeah.
be the ultimate full circle, right?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of been my whole thing lately is like we have a small family business, and I don't have any anticipation to get like super huge. But what's been on my mind is like taking in apprentices and just
Yes.
training them up and let them decide, stay or go. You go find a bigger company if that's what you want. But I just want to be able to train people and help them out get to their next spot. Like I don't mind. So I've been looking more into that, and I haven't seen any women around my area yet. So hopefully we will see that soon. But even with my kids, like we have a daughter that super interested in everything that I do, goes into my van, pretends to fix something. She'll be asking me for like a screwdriver, and she'll just always inquire like, what do you do, or what did you do today? And I'm excited, to kind of tell her and see what she thinks of it. And, who knows what she'll be into later. My son, not so much. He's more into video games, but I'm hoping
He's
to
with me
kind
in
of
IT.
hoping to plant seeds and see what he wants. Like I'm never gonna force him to do what I do, but like I said, my daughter's been interested, which is kind of
That's
ironic to me.
amazing.
Yeah, and I encourage it.
That's
Like
amazing.
I always talk on this podcast, if anything with my kids, like I would like them to know that what I do, like it's not frowned upon, right? Like it's a good uh business, it's a good thing to do. Just want to get them to understand that, but also the skills. So maybe they never do HVAC in their life, whatever, but being handy with tools and understanding how things work, electrical, you can work around your house, you can change a tire, stuff like that. That would be awesome. That's what I want them to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. HVAC matters, right? Everybody needs heating at some point, and everybody needs cooling at some point.
I've been trying to drill that into people, like anywhere you go, it's going to be AC or refrigeration. You walk into a
Yeah.
supermarket, your store down the street, anybody's house, anybody's, like we have like sheds in the back. They got mini splits in them. Like there's AC everywhere, right? And you need refrigeration for products. I deal with commercial refrigeration, so they want you there right then and there because
Yeah.
that product can go bad really quick. We do hospital work. That's always a
I was just
priority
going
as
to say
well.
hospitals. Yeah.
Yeah, we do that. And it's priority. And there's a lot of demand for it. So I just want people to understand that. But I think that's cool. You guys have the events, you guys have the membership, and what's the feedback on that? How has that gone with people that join and stuff like that?
Yeah, we continue to grow our membership base. And what's really great about it is we show the opportunities within the organization. So I've been a part of Women in HVAC for the last 10 years, but I didn't really get involved in like the volunteer side until about 6 years ago. And so I was instrumental in helping them revamp their mentorship program. And so, what I want all women to know in our organization is there's a path for you, right? If you want to come on as a volunteer and help the cause, our terms, we have certain terms for the board. And so when I roll off after next year, there's opportunity for other women to come in and take the lead and help the cause, right? And so we're continuously growing. And so there's huge opportunity for volunteers to help on the mentorship side, on membership, because we are a 13-person board, but we are
Mm,
all volunteers. So this is a second job for us. And
yeah.
so we're all very passionate, but we don't get paid to do this. This is a volunteer organization. And so there's a
Wait,
lot of heavy lifting to be able to execute all of these programs, ambassador, mentorship, all of these different facets to our organization. We need the help volunteer wise to be able to execute.
and that's awesome because like, yeah, when I was told you're the president, but you also work at Carrier, you're like that's a lot on your plate. So you
Yeah.
guys are volunteers there, and I would love to see it grow so much more because just being on social media has changed or opened my eyes to more because I'm on all platforms, right? Instagram and TikTok, and
Mhm.
some of the women that are out there doing, and you wouldn't, like me personally, I wouldn't know about them if it wasn't for social media and them posting.
Yes.
So I always encourage people, just post your work, whatever you do. It could be, you might think it's boring, you might think, it's not anything, but people, I would like people to see it because just alone, like on TikTok, there was so many women that I came across that work with heavy machinery, do stuff that I don't even do, that I can't do, and they're out
Right.
there doing like construction and HVAC and all this amazing stuff. So there's a lot of women that are really good at doing any trade. Like you mentioned earlier, like there
Yeah.
are certain traits that are beneficial with hiring a woman. So it's always about the technician. It's always about them themselves. Like, are they gonna push themselves? Are they gonna be better? Are they gonna, be committed and get into it? Like that's always dependent on the person. But just from what I've seen, so many amazing women in the trade, and it's great. And before I forget, there is a couple that works together. They have their own business, and it's funny because Megan always says that they deal with customers, right? And they always want to talk to her. It's always
Yes.
where's Megan? I need to talk to them, and they're always super nice to her. And they are Matt always says that they're always rude to him, so he lets her do a lot of the relationship stuff. So
Relationship.
uh,
Yeah.
it, it's beneficial. I would not see why anybody, because I have seen it, but I don't know why some people are just so against it. It there's a lot of good in having women in the trades, and I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I would add to what you said, which was pretty powerful, is you're noticing a lot more women in our industry on social media. And here's what I'm going to say as it ties into mentorship is it can be informal, it could be peer to peer, it could be formal. But if you see somebody and something resonates with their message or their story or their journey, reach out to them and say,
Yeah.
hey, I what you said resonated with me. And you know what? I would love to pick your brain for 15 minutes. Do you have time? I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times they're going to make the time. And that's what's really helped people grow in the industry is resonation, right? Resonating with a story or a journey, or say, I have similarities. How did you overcome this, or how did you get success with this? It's super powerful.
And it helps both, I think, out at the same time because, and that, you need to ask questions. So that's always a good thing to just ask a person, like you said, if you relate to them or you want to know
Mhm.
something, just pick their brain, and n- nine times out 9 times out of 10 they're going to be okay with it and they're going to open up. um, and also it just makes that person feel good too because they probably don't think anything of what they do, and then somebody's like, hey, like, I like what you do, or I'm interested, can I ask you a few questions, and they because I know with me, whenever I get asked that, I perk up. I'm like, yeah, I would love to tell you about what I do,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, you think I or you like what I do? Let me talk about it. So I perk up. So I always that's another thing, right? If you have people that you either work with locally or online social media, just ask them questions and let them know like you want to pick their brain or you're interested in what's something that they do. And which is I do that all the time. I try to be better, be a better technician or a person by asking others and getting, feedback.
Absolutely. And I think, another component of that is you can't be all things to all people. And you're going to deliver a message. And I've always said to myself, if I touch one person, then I've made a difference. And so I think I get excited too when somebody says, hey, what you said resonated with me. And I'm like, it did. And then I'm like, oh, here's how I did it. you know?
Yeah, there's always someone. That's the whole thing with the podcast is what I've said is there's always someone out there that is going through the same thing you are or wants to be in your position. And if you just open up, talk about it on whether on your own or somebody asks you about it, it like you said, it could help one person, but you help that one person out get through something, and
And it
that's
builds
part
momentum.
that's
Yep.
powerful, and it builds momentum and it helps them pay it forward to the next person, and it starts. It's more powerful than you think. That's just what I think about it.
Yep. We're stronger together for sure.
I've learned that so much in the past couple of years, just being online and seeing the incredible people. And I honestly thought I was really good where I'm at locally. Like I thought I was like up here, and then I see people online. I'm like, oh, I need to learn how he did that, or learn this, or learn that, and we
Yeah.
need to make each other better and help each other out.
Absolutely, as long as you're not comparing. Because
No,
I've mentored a lot of people that just feel like they're comparing themselves to each other, and it's like we all have our own superpowers. Remember that.
yes, I have to catch myself. That's a good point. Not to compare, but to just
Mhm.
take something from it, learn something from it, and be better. The only person you need to compare yourself or compete with is yourself, right? Every day,
Exactly.
whether you're applying it to being a technician or being just a person, being a good person in general, every day be better. That's all it is. And the main thing with me when I talk about that, as far as like technicians, they always ask for advice. I get that question a lot. Be better every day. Compete with yourself. Don't compete with anybody else, because you'll never be satisfied. And
Yeah.
if you just do that, look at yourself from last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You're going to be way better if you just worry about yourself, and don't compare yourself to others. Just
Mhm.
yourself. That's it. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover on the women's HVAC?
Yeah. So the only other thing that I would say, as it relates to my journey in the trades, is deciphering and understanding the difference between being nice and being kind. So being nice, think of it as you're going along to get along. You might compromise your core values because you're trying to avoid conflict. Maybe it's, you're not confident in the decision. And so you're like, I'm just going to go along with it. Right. And kind is staying true to your core values. It's having integrity and having those tough conversations and doing what is in alignment with your core values, because when you're standing up for yourself, you're standing up for everybody else and you're taking them along the way. So that'd be one piece of advice I would give on the mentorship side and just navigating HVAC in general.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Did you have any obstacles or difficulties navigating your way through the trades, or have you had a good experience overall?
For the most part, I've had good experiences. I think one of my biggest challenges was having a seat at the table, especially in the corporate side. I would be sitting with men who had 10, 15, 20 years of experience, and here I was, a greenhorn at the table, And I never felt confident to speak up. And there was one meeting that we had where we were talking about growth, and it was like Groundhog Day. We kept talking about what we need to do to grow the business. And finally, I just decided, you know what? Like, I belong here and I'm going to speak up. And I started talking about culture and that there was not clear direction on roles and responsibilities. So we're expecting these people who are doing 15 other things to grow the business when culturally we haven't provided them a foundation of expectations, right? And so I spoke up in the meeting, and for a moment everybody was quiet, and then I started to get the buy-in, and then that's how I started to build my muscle and confidence. But there are times on the marketing side where I would go out to visit contractors and they would look at me and be like, "You're a woman, what do you know?" Or
Mm.
or I would ask them a question and they turn around and look at my male counterpart and start talking to them. And it wasn't until I proved my knowledge and I proved how I can help them grow their business that I actually started to build the trust with them, and they listened to me, and it was like, then I was their first call. So it's been,
Okay.
for me, an evolution. But it's having tough conversations, and it's being confident in the woman that you are and the skills that you bring to the table.
And that is, yeah, I mean, that's an obstacle that you need to overcome in general. Like I said, it's a shame that that happens, but and even with me, I kind of do that with customers because I don't know if they want to hear all the technicalities or they want to hear the simplified. I fixed it. You know, you're good. So I
Yeah.
always, or even the counter people, like I mentioned earlier. So when I go in, I say a few things, test them, and then if they understand, then I keep going. I hate when it's, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Let me talk to, I don't want to talk to a woman. Let me talk to somebody else. And that's a story I've heard on the podcast, here and there. So I, I get it. It's just, it sucks that that happens. So like you mentioned
Yeah, but
earlier, go ahead.
sorry, but I just want to add one thing to that. I think as women, we've never seen women in these roles, right? Like, it's been an evolution. We're seeing it now, but it's hard to visualize your part in this journey of, HVAC when you haven't seen a ton of women prior, right? So it's kind of an evolution. And it's, understanding and visualizing the path forward when there hasn't been a ton of women in our space. We're seeing a lot more now.
It's and it's great to see. Yeah, just people are not used to it, and it's like an adjustment. But and like you mentioned earlier, you're speaking up, having that voice. That was kind of
Mhm.
like when it clicked for you in that scenario because that's something that I dealt with too. Just being the new guy and knowing something and just not being able to speak up, and you finally get that courage and like you said, build on it, and that's what helps a lot of people out. And I think that applies to anything. Like if you know something, speak up, or don't be afraid to get shot down either. Like I've had that too. Like let me, just talk it out and see what happens. But that's a good point. Like speaking up, getting it going, and kind of building on that too.
Yep, building that muscle.
That's a good way to put it. Um, so women in HVACR, that is great. Where they can find you guys. I'll leave a link to everything that I can in the description. You guys have like a website. I know you guys are
We
probably on
do.
Instagram.
Women in HVACR.org.
Okay, I'll
And it
leave that
has
down below.
everything about our organization. Yes.
Awesome. That way I can kind of put that up there and just tell more people about it. I would love to see that grow.
We would appreciate that. Appreciate the support.
That's awesome. So, thank you for stopping in. I think that was a really good conversation. I don't know if there's anything else you want to end on, or we can close it out from here.
No, we are available at Women in HVACR to help you with your journey. So please feel free to go to the website again, womeninhvacr.org, and reach out to us, send us a note, and we'll be happy to connect and give you more information.
Well, thank you, Kristin, for stopping in and taking the time on this day. And, thanks again.
Thank you. Take care.
And I appreciate everybody for watching and listening. We'll see you guys next time.